Luke Jensen reined in his horse. Around him, East Texas pines pressed in, the twilight bringing a gathering gloom and thickening shadows. The sun was gone from the sky above the tops of the trees. The branches held the heat of the day trapped down low in the woods, and Luke's dark shirt clung to him, made even darker by sweat. The air was thick with the astringent, gin-like smell of the pines. Removing his black hat, he swept his sleeve across his forehead, soaking up the perspiration clinging there. His hair was lank with sweat. The humidity here was far different from farther west, out on the frontier where the air was dry as an old skeleton. What it reminded him of most was Georgia during the war, back when the Yankees burned Atlanta. Luke didn't think much about the war these days. It had ended badly for him. But it had started him on the road to a new life. He drank from his canteen and eyed the sandy trail his horse stood on. Dried pine needles littered the ground in a soft carpet. He saw the track of another horse in the soft soil. He was getting closer. His job was hunting men, and this search was reaching its finish. He was glad because it had been a long ride from El Paso, and the money he'd collected on the Watley brothers was just about gone. Jack Davies was wanted for the brutal treatment of a girl in Plano, up close to Dallas, and the murder of a gambler in Nacogdoches. He'd escaped the rope and disappeared back into the Pine Barrens his family called home. The Rangers were needed up in the Panhandle, chasing Comanche raiders, and south along the border, battling bandidos from the other side of the Rio Grande, leaving them stretched too thin to run down a lone rapist and murderer. That left local lawmen, none of whom were keen on taking a posse of tenderfoot townsmen into the piney woods after the Davies clan. The bounty grew to $500, and that was enough money to put Luke on the trail. Luke studied the woods as he lowered the canteen. With the coming of evening, the birds had grown still. Squirrels and chipmunks no longer scurried through the underbrush. The silence grew oppressive. The last town was a 4-hour ride west. He was alone in these woods.